Teenagers being teenagers.
Teenagers being teenagers. There's substance use that they are consenting to, and then substance use that they are not consenting to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, that's what happens when you go to Ma's house.
This is a fun time at Ma's.
Yeah, Shumami Ma.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
What's your favorite scary movie?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
See dead people.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Here's Johnny.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie.
And Nikisha.
Where we share our love for all things scary and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. Well, welcome everyone.
Welcome. Where are all your lenses?
Oh, yeah.
They're in another room. I'm just too lazy to grab it. So we're just going to be squinting at the screen. It's fine. We're fine. But welcome everyone. We are knee deep into our season 8 and exciting times. Today we are talking about the 2019 psychological horror film, Ma.
It calms me down so much to know that you guys aren't out there drinking and driving. I mean, to be honest, I would rather you be safe. If you're gonna do it somewhere, it might as well be here, right?
Do you have a bathroom I can use?
It ain't much, but it's all you.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, the bar is open.
Oh, Mama.
Oh, scary lady with the teenagers. So
Scary ladies with the teenagers.
With the
and that has
teenagers.
been the What's This About segment, the plot. summary.
So this movie was directed by Tate Taylor and written by Scotty Landis, and it stars Octavia Spencer, Juliette Lewis, Diana Silvers, Corey Fogelmanis, Gianna Paolo, Michaeli Miller, and Luke Evans. Just to name a few, a good ensemble cast of kids. So heavy spoilers. If you've not seen Ma, you know, for shits and giggles, I think you should watch it. Come back and listen to us talk about it.
Spoiler alert, we know how you feel about Ma.
I'm just excited to hear everyone else's thoughts about it.
Sure.
But Jamie, please hit us with those trigger warnings.
I don't even know how to categorize this movie. There's a lot going on. So there is underage drinking, there and a lot of alcohol use. There is very inappropriate attraction between an adult and a minor.
Mm-hmm.
There is
we're all
reference-
yes.
yes. References to oral sex.
Someone gets run over by a car.
Yeah, someone gets run over by a car. Somebody is forced to disrobe at gunpoint. There's several gun usage in this movie. A cop gets shot. Someone's wrists get slashed. And then also I'm pretty sure a dog's blood is used in a blood transfusion with an adult person.
Yes. Louis, let's make sure we use his full name, Louis.
So if you don't like dogs being hurt in movies.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't think the dog hurt.
Well, Louis was really weak because she removed so much blood. Is my assumption.
I couldn't. I think I walked away at that point because I was I've seen this movie and was doing things around the house, but also didn't want to be sad. So
definitely.
Mouth sewing shut.
Yes, of course. Mom.
Painting someone's face, stabbing, everyone wearing collars, almost being hung, fire, sexual assault.
Sexual assault by proxy. What's it?
Munchausen by proxy. Is that everything? Being drugged.
Thank you.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I was
Ruth
yes.
is drugged.
Yes.
and then like you marijuana use and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Teenagers being teenagers.
Teenagers being teenagers. There's substance
mom.
use that they are consenting to, and then substance use that they are not consenting to.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
Listen, that's what happens when you go to Ma's house.
This is a fun time at Ma's.
Yeah, she mommy ma.
Mommy ma.
Mama.
You know, as a ma, I have a lot of concerns about what's happening here.
Oh yeah, when we were putting our son to bed the other night, I was like, just don't get mod.
Just don't get mod.
Don't get mod. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Excellent. Well, before we get into everything that is Ma, because believe me, there is a lot. Producer Brian, please give us some words.
Hi everybody, producer Brian here. I don't know when this episode is first airing, but hi YouTube. And
Hey.
I mentioned that because I don't know if we're on TikTok or not anymore.
Oh, shoot.
So we do want you to follow us. We love that you're listening to us. So if you are to follow us, if TikTok still exists, great, cool. We're doing a lot of stuff there. If we lose
I
all
did
of
hear
our...
a rumor that Elon Musk was potentially looking to purchase it from ByteDance.
All right, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess. But this is don't get mod.
Don't get mod.
Anyway, there are other places you can find us. The first place you can find us is here in our house. The first place you can find us is in Ma's basement. The second place you can find us is on YouTube. I'm just letting you know from a social media perspective, I plan on focusing heavily on Instagram and YouTube. I want to do a little bit more like longer form content on YouTube, and I'm not, just like, we'll do some reviews there. We'll post them daily. I'll do my best to keep it up there, and I'll probably reuse a lot of the same content for Instagram. So you can follow us in both of those places and be sure to follow along there so you know when the episodes drop and all of that. But you can also subscribe to us here. So I would say YouTube, Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha. It's also at Talk Horror Pod on YouTube. And then on Instagram, we are at Talk Horror Pod. We're also on Blue Sky. I have posted nothing there, but that's a place you can follow us. But yeah, just I'm not really sure what's happening. So those are places that you can go and enjoy our content and us talking about horror movies. That's all. Follow us there. It would be really helpful for sure.
Yes, fantastic. Well, anything new with you guys? Have you watched anything new?
I literally was like, oh my god, I watched Ma.
I mean, you did.
You did.
You sure
watched
did.
it.
Yeah. I changed my letterbox name. For those of you following along at home, I'm no longer BP527. I'm Nutty Professor. It's the same thing. It's just a different name. That's the same account.
Well, Brian's endeavors have been less into horror and more into streaming lately.
Oh yeah, I've been streaming. You can follow me on Twitch too, Nutty Professor. We do some Pokemon, we do some Zelda, stuff like that. And maybe we'll talk about horror movies one day.
Maybe I'll get you to play a horror game one day.
Oh yeah, maybe. Almost I can shit my pants.
That is amazing. Yes, please.
It's probably exactly what would happen.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, this is not a scary game. And then I'll be like, oh no.
Right, exactly. They get you real quick.
Yeah, they get you for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't remember. Did we talk about I watched Werewolves?
I think so. Oh, am I imagining it? Because I've heard you talk about this movie several times.
Maybe.
I don't think I've heard this, though.
Okay, so I watched this movie from late last year called Werewolves. It's basically The Purge meets werewolves. So
I can see that.
A supermoon. So this takes place during a second supermoon. So a year before there was a supermoon where like 1 billion people turned into werewolves and like wreaked havoc on the world. And then 1 year later, people are like preparing for supermoon night. So it's like The Purge, but with werewolves, and it's practical effects. So the practical effects are really good. I really dug it. That's like it's a great it's a really good movie for exactly what it is. So Werewolves.
Nice. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Super into the practical effects of it all.
Yeah, that's worth it for sure.
Yeah. Also, I went ahead and just finished the front room because if you listen to our last episode, like I started it and I just couldn't finish it, but I finished it. It was a movie. It happened.
Fair.
And
wow.
I don't feel any way about it. It was there. I was there for Brandy, but it was bonkers. Just the storyline was everywhere. The dialogue was insane. The premise, it was just.
Did it take itself too seriously? Was there a hint of fun to it? You know what I mean?
Right, which I think is what we'll talk about with Ma. But I think that
Who?
it did. Ma.
Oh, of course, Ma.
Yes, of course, Ma.
Ma.
Ma. I think it took itself like 2 notches too seriously. Like if it there was some points where it was very laughable, and I'm like, but wait, am I supposed to be laughing at this? But I feel like we all should be laughing at this.
Sure.
But they didn't lean into that. So that's a great question, Brian. I think if they leaned more into the campiness of it, then it would have been a better watch for me. But yeah, way too serious.
Okay, cool.
Ooh.
Yeah. Anywho, all right, we're here to talk about Ma, so let's talk about her. But we need a plot summary from producer Brian, a 2-minute plot summary from producer Brian.
What's the plot?
I think we need to extend this segment.
Oops. Is this too much going on?
I think we need to have like a 4-minute plot summary versus at some point.
No. It's fun to see you
struggle. Yes, I understand.
Yes.
Okay,
let's do this.
You got this. All right, producer Brian, you have 2 minutes on the clock to tell us how you and Ma are buddy.
Ooh.
We're not friends. I want to be very clear.
Okay. Ready, steady, go.
But I like to watch her from afar, you know. Okay. So Maggie and her mom move back to the town that Maggie's mom grew up in. She starts, she gets a job there bartending at a casino, like waitressing at a casino because, that's what happens in Ohio. She meets friends at school, and then the friends get this woman named Sue Ann, or as they call her, Ma, to buy their alcohol. And then Ma ends up finagling it so that she offers her basement to them, and she ends up like partying with them. But something is definitely very off because that is wrong. And so what we find out is that Sue Ann was basically set up for sexual assault in high school by the parents of the kids. And she has a lot of lasting trauma from that. She's kind of torturing the kids and setting them up for failure to get back at the parents. And then she's getting back at the parents. The parents catch on to it and try to stop her, but she's a veterinarian assistant, and she kind of like uses a lot of those tools to drug them and do all of that. Anyway, she ends up capturing the kids in the basement. Chaos ensues where she like sews one of their mouths shut. She paints the black kid white, and she kisses one of the boys. And we find out at some point in the movie that she has a daughter, and it's kind of like lightly assumed or inferred, I should say, that it's what's it called, by proxy, and so that she's like keeping her sick. Long story short, the daughter ends up saving them, and then Maggie ends up saving the daughter, and then the house sets on fire because of course it does, and Ma, instead of trying to escape, goes upstairs and just dies with the fire or whatever it is, and we won't get a Ma 2, and everyone's safe, but the kids are kind of still in trouble.
And that's the plot.
That was excellent. Great job.
Good job.
Yeah. See, you only need 2 minutes. You got it.
That's true. I'm kind of pissed that I proved you all right.
Exactly. You got it.
You got it. You're fine.
Fantastic. Well, let's get into it with our first little segment, Trick or a Treat.
Trick or treat.
Where we let you guys know if this was a trick or we don't know how we feel about it, or if this was a treat. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that this was so bad that it was a treat for me the second watch around. So I'm going to put this for context, this is my second time watching this. So I think that adds to why I think it's a treat, because I knew what to expect and looked at it through a different lens.
Cool. Great.
Jamie, what about you?
This is like I don't know how many times I've seen this. This might be like the third or fourth time. I don't know, but
you love Ma. Sounds like you love Ma.
No, it's more of like if something is just like on, I'm like, okay, I'll hang out with Ma, I guess.
It's okay. You want to?
I don't want to have the FOMO, you know.
Right.
When she just starts like DMing me all these photos of her and all my friends.
Oh God.
Yeah, this movie's real weird.
It's so weird. What about you, Brian?
Oh, this was a treat.
Okay.
This was an absolute treat. I love shit like this. I love that it gets weird. I love that my understanding of the premise was really only like the first like 30 minutes of the movie. This thing just keeps getting bonkers, and it introduces ideas that it never finishes. There's so much insane about this movie that like I can't help but be like endeared by it in some ways. Like I just had a blast. I didn't know what was going to happen next. Like I just had an absolute blast, and I'll talk about it when I go through my likes and gripes, but there's a moment that felt that I'll talk about. But yeah, this is a treat for me for sure. This is my first time watching it ever.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, let's get into even more details with likes and gripes.
And now our likes and gripes.
Okay, Brian, since this is your first time, you have to go.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to read down my notes. I did not organize these notes. These are just the notes from the movie. However, did they move to Ohio so she could work for the casino? Like they didn't. I didn't understand why they moved back to Ohio. And then like you just like kind of threw context clues. That was just like very weird to me. I was like, you moved back from LA to like, you could just get a casino job out there. But they explain it that she went to high school with them. So I got that. That's fine. I was very impressed with the kids being so nice to her, like as the new girl. Like I just think that like she could have really had it rough, and like that I forget the kids. Honestly I forget the kids' names.
Yeah.
But the blonde-haired one who gets her mouth sewn shut, she was just like, she went up to her, she's like, I'm here. This is who I am. Like here's my number. Like let's hang out and chill. I was just like, wow, that doesn't feel realistic, but maybe it does because I haven't been in high school in 20 years.
Yeah.
And then I just wrote Stu. I think Stu's gonna become my favorite character if he's still in the movie after this first scene. Of course, Stu is the boss of the of her mother, the bartender at the casino.
Yeah.
And then here's a quote. You can smoke till you're 25, then quit and nothing bad will happen.
Yes.
Great quote.
What,
oh
girl?
my God.
Okay. Why would you park right in front of the liquor store? If you are underage kids in a van, you wouldn't park outside the liquor store. You would park like a couple blocks down or something like that and send one person to do it. And then you call them or text them to drive the van up, and you obviously that was just for like the filming of the movie and making sure that like you can understand the narrative, but that is an insane thing that was not believable. I have no experience doing that. I just have common sense.
I literally was gonna say, Brian.
No. Okay. So this was gonna be a gripe. They meet Ma for the first time, and then all of a sudden, I would say the first like 10-15 minutes of the movie, we are following the narrative storyline, the point of view of Maggie. And then all of a sudden, it's a little jarring when we're following Ma look them up on Facebook in her home. And I really hated that. I hated that all of a sudden you're kind of like revealing her nefarious intent early on.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I thought the movie was going to be like a reveal that she's behind all of it. She's the one who called the dad and got the truck, you know, the cops called. I thought that was going to be a reveal. I'm like, why are you showing this so early? Because I didn't understand what this movie was. Fucking insane. And I didn't realize that, like, and I was like, ugh, they're just doing this because Octavia Spencer's the star. They want her in more scenes. Like, why are we doing that? But then I was like, you know what? And then the flashback happened, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, this is actually about Ma and not the kids." So that's when even though the movie's name is Ma, I just assumed that like this would be by the books, cookie cutter, you know, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
Which I appreciated. And I think that's why I liked it, because it's not the same old, like, she's revealed to be the bad guy. The kids are surprised. No one believed them. Now Ma's going to get them. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that. It was that, but it wasn't. Yeah. I really like that Ma lets people think that she's a nurse, not a vet's assistant. Like, she's like, you want me to get these scrubs dirty or some shit like that? But like, I think that like reading between the lines, like Ma is putting on this like idea that she's more important. That not to say that vet's assistants are not important, but I think people perceive like nurses in hospitals to be a like thumbs up job, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm just inferring. First of all, Instagram doesn't work like that. You can't just type in Andy and then like the Andy that you know comes up first. Like that you don't even like that was insane.
What are you talking about? That's how I use social media.
Oh, that's so funny.
Okay, we got to stop here because this is the moment of the film where I was like, "Oh, it's this movie." The naked gun scene.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting things about this fucking insane scene that this is the scene that let me as an audience member lean into the insanity of this film. One, the energy that the jock guy brings to that conversation immediately, like calling her out for like weird stuff, like, you got to get this, where's the beer pong table, this, it's just like, slow your roll, you fucking idiot. Like, that wasn't even believable because that's not the character that was presented to us before that movie, nor did we see him start to get drunk and stuff like that. It just felt like it was a very weird. And then she pulls out the gun like an insane person. And then it's terrifying because she's like, strip for me. And he does it and they go through it. And then all the friends are watching this. And then they're like, just kidding, gotcha. They're like, oh, Ma, you're crazy.
Everyone, yes.
And I'm just like, no. That I just don't believe in a million years that wouldn't rub those kids the wrong way. And they'd be like, no, we shouldn't be here anymore. Like, I don't believe that these kids, the movie doesn't set up that these kids need to like drink and like be out there supersedes their safety in that moment.
Yes.
And that moment just like allowed me to like lean into the insanity of this movie, but like also if you're watching this movie as like a serious horror movie, like that's the scene that will break you completely.
Absolutely. Also to say, just to piggyback on that whole scene, because the jock guy, I just found it so funny that he was like peer pressuring an adult, being like, you're not cool if you don't have a beer pong. And I'm like, why would you think that would work on an adult?
Very weird.
She doesn't need your validation. Like, why would you say that? That was so outrageous.
That was the script trying to set up the fact that she is triggered by like social situations, and it doesn't feel organic.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But totally. I also agree. That whole scene where then the kids are like, oh, that's so funny. I'm like, you guys are insane. This is like, what, their first time at the house? In this
that was their first time at the house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the first time. Not their first time interacting with Ma, but the first time at the house.
Mm-hmm. Right. Crazy. Anyways,
then, no, it's okay. Then I had a lot of questions about her job. Not Ma's job. Not Ma's job with Allison Janney in this film.
Randomly.
The cast is like wild. But I think that's because of the director's relationship with these actors in other projects.
Because he directed The Help.
Oh, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah,
he directed The Help, and then he was
he directed that Get On Up movie.
I read I read like the origin story of this movie because I knew something about it before where he basically was like, I want to make something really fucked up. And he had worked really closely with Octavia Spencer. And
Right.
she was like, I wish that I could be like in the leading role for something. And so then he reached out to Jason Blum and was like, I really want to do something fucked up. And they were like, we got this script yesterday. And he literally called up Octavia Spencer and was like, do you want to do it? And she didn't even read it and she signed on.
That also tracks. Because, girl, I feel like if you just gave it one look over, you'd be like,
I have some
maybe
questions.
not for me. Yes.
Anyway, sorry, Brian.
That's excellent.
No, don't apologize
Wow.
for Ma's backstory.
That's amazing,
and Ma's
Jamie.
origins. I just had a lot of questions about like the casino job. Like, did she know Stu from high school? Like, was Stu in the flashbacks? Like, did Stu get her the job? I think I was just a little bit overthinking the Stu character in this.
I was about to say, all of your questions don't have anything, like, they don't matter.
I understand. I
He
totally
just likes
understand.
Stu. He wants to be
Yeah,
Stu's
I also
friend.
love Stu.
I get that you
Yes.
like Stu, but also, like,
like a bean
that
stew.
has nothing to do with anything.
No,
Unfortunately for
no,
you.
You're absolutely right.
That's great.
And then I wrote, why does this exist? And then,
Like the movie?
I guess, I don't know. Oh, and then I mentioned, at first
Great
I didn't
question.
want any reveal until the end, but I like this.
Yeah.
Another quote. Milk did that body good.
Oh my God.
She says that about Andy, right?
No, she says that
Oh.
about the what's the black kid's name?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Darren.
So weird.
Yeah, Milk does that body. Okay. One of the positives, the true pros, the true likes of this movie is that Ma partying with them and like overseeing their partying really is unsettling and makes me very uncomfortable the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is where my likes of this movie starts, because even in the insane plot points you're getting into, for me, I just feel so deeply uncomfortable the whole time. And I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Who invited all the other kids to the house? Was Ma like, hey, invite your friends? Or does Ma have like different like groups of kids that she's fucking with? Oh, like also like what was the situation like? Hey Ma, we invited some people, like the whole school, or was Ma like, bring as many kids as you want here? Like I wanted that conversation, not just like cut to every high school kid at Ma's house, and there's no way the cops wouldn't have like every single kid is out on a Saturday night. Like some parents gonna figure out where they're going to Ma's house.
I do,
And
but
also-
I do think that is exactly what it was, because there's that confrontation later with like Juliette Lewis where she's basically like, you're just jealous that I'm the popular kid now. And it's like, what?
That's true. I wrote that quote down too. Don't worry.
Oh, good.
My God.
No, but yeah, I think you're right, Jamie. I think the inference is that Ma was like, invite your friends. You got a basement full of booze and Ma's.
My God.
There's only one Ma.
That's true. You're
Just
right.
to
There's only
clarify.
one, yeah. Oh, I wrote, I know she's insane, but the way they talk to her is wild. Like when she comes to the school and they're just like, fucking chill, Ma. I'm just like, that just seems like the wrong way to handle that situation completely.
Yes. Because she's still an adult. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I love the pastor's daughter fake passes out just so she that like I wish there was more quirky things like that in the movie. I really like that.
It's so funny.
Weird. Egg rolls with ketchup? Get the fuck out of that food court.
Yeah.
Egg rolls with ketchup.
This
Break up with
Why?
him. Break up with him immediately. Egg rolls with ketchup. Also, like, because that's when she heard the like banging or the kid upstairs, and I just don't believe that a lot of these kids would prioritize drinking at Ma's over certain other things. Like, I actually believe that Andy and Maggie like actually liked each other, and I just feel like he would have like not been, and he doesn't even drink. Like,
yeah,
at that
why is
point.
he like being so, he's so weird about Maggie being like, I don't want to go to Ma's anymore. He's just like, why? And it's like, why do you care about going to this weird stranger's house?
Right.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
I totally agree. And then he asked to put ketchup on his egg rolls. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Was that the greatest offense to you in this movie?
No. Maybe. This cast. Then Luke Evans showed up. That's like when I was like earlier. I was like, what? And then what's her name from the blonde who gets run over by the car?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. First of all, also I'll get to it, but like, okay, I'll get to there. And then I wrote another quote. When he comes over to the house and Juliette Lewis is talking to him, Juliette Lewis is talking to Andy, and he goes, "So what do you think of Mercedes?" And he goes, "I'm more of a Porsche kind of guy."
Oh, that was really funny.
Great line.
I thought that was funny.
That was an actual good line for sure.
This movie.
So silly.
I would highly recommend high schoolers acting like this. Something in here must have happened where like it was like a really nice moment where they were listening to each other, but then immediately was undercut by whatever.
Yeah, by the rest of the movie.
Wait, this is the best line in the movie. I totally forgot about it until right now. "You can beat it, Ma. My granddad didn't. He's a fucking pussy."
Talking
That's
about her fake pancreatic
Her
cancer
fake
or
pancreatic
something.
cancer.
My God.
Spectacular.
Oh my God.
Excellent.
I do think that a clever thing in the script is having Andy's mom have died of cancer and her faking to have cancer. That made me believe that he would be on her side a little bit more because he understands that's his trauma and she's playing on that. That I don't think that they fleshed that out as much as they could have, but I did like. There's a lot of things not fleshed out in this film.
Oh, for sure.
What?
At the vet, I was like, oh, the dad seems kind of nicer than I thought he would be, and then I was like, oh fuck, like he has the tracker. This. Oh, and then I wrote, this movie has everything. And then I wrote, well, that's not how I would handle that. I don't remember who it's probably all of them.
Every aspect of this film.
Right.
Yes. Oh, and I then read, it's insane that he doesn't believe her. It's insane that she's like, she's faking this. We were in the house. We met the daughter. And then he's like, well, cancer's crazy. And I'm just like, are you fucking insane?
Right.
Like, on what planet are you not believing her when she is hard proof? Oh, like when she's like, and she cuts out the photos of us and puts herself in them. And he's like, cancer makes you do crazy things. I'm like, what?
Not that.
And then she gets hit by the car, and that I wrote Jesus Christ. That was just like, I just didn't expect the movie to get like that graphic, if you will. Yeah, and it does because we got Maude. And then I wrote dog blood, and then I wrote, one of my favorite lines is, and Jamie mentioned it. How does it feel to be on the outside looking in? I think that line is amazing. Because I'm tapping on Mom's basement. Waving through a cellar door.
Yep.
I just think that's a great line. Because it just shows how crazy is Ma to believe that the other mother would be jealous of her drinking with all of the kids.
Yeah.
And I think
she's not well.
No, she's not well.
Not at all.
No. I was like, that kiss? Jesus. Also,
that kiss.
he kissed her without like looking around for something. He just like kissed her to distract her, but didn't do anything about it.
And then it was very weird.
I was like, waiting for that shot of him to be like, okay, let me search for something. Let me like cut her off guard, catch her off guard.
Yes,
nothing.
Or grab something to bop her. But no, he's like, I guess I'll just kiss this Ma.
Also, we didn't mention
just kiss
one of the
Ma.
Right, the rare times that we actually see penis, guys, in this movie.
Oh yes, dong. We saw a full dong, like
full
very
dong.
floppy dong. Yeah, totally.
Floppy
and
dong.
a very. What'd you say, Jamie?
I just said floppy dong.
Yeah, I would also say a rare occasion where we don't see boobs or where it's only male genitalia, like the male butt and the male penis we see in
Give
this.
me more male genitalia in a film. I've seen enough boob. I've seen enough bush.
Yeah.
Show us the wiener. Show us the wiener. I demand
I've seen enough boob.
more
I've seen enough
wiener.
bush. Show us the wiener. Show us the tush.
Jimmy got bars.
I didn't say the tush part. Brian added that in. He's the real
Okay, well,
lyricist
both
here.
of y'all got bars. That was excellent.
Oh shit!
I am so disappointed in Maggie not looking behind her. If you're sneaking into the third floor of that house,
yeah, she's
and
not
you're
good
not
at being sneaky.
like you gotta look behind you. Like you have to. I just gotta like even when she sees Ben in the bed, like bleeding out, you just gotta you gotta look around. You get mad. So she mutilated everyone, and then she's like, "This guy, I'm gonna paint." Like, fucking, he got lucky as shit. He got white face.
Truly, and such a crazy line of like they only will allow one of us in here. So.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that I wrote. That's my next. My next is that line because I was just like, this movie.
Yeah, Brian, you were like fully like making exclamations in watching this. You were just like sitting there like you were me watching this movie. You don't normally say a lot of things like sounds and like just like oh my gods, but you were really like what?
Yeah. This movie has so many open threads. For instance, that racism comment in general, this movie is trying to explore so many things and doing nothing at the same time.
Yes.
It's trying to deal with like trauma. The I keep forgetting the first half of it. The what do you call it, by proxy?
Munchausen.
The Munchausen's by proxy with her daughter, where her daughter is sick and like all of that, so she needs to depend on her. Then at the beginning of the movie when she's wheeling she's wheeling Jeannie, it's like this girl looks like Ma. Like, is this a flashback? What are we doing here?
Yes, I thought the same thing when I first watched it. I'm like, what's happening?
Like, she looks like Ma. What are we doing? And then she's revealed to be the daughter, and I was both shocked and not surprised at all. Because partway through the movie, I'm like, where was the wheelchair girl? Like, why didn't she come back?
Where did she go?
She seemed like this wasn't just to show that Maggie's a good person. There's something else here, and then it revealed itself. My other favorite line in this film is, quote, "You just made me kill this man." It's like, no, I didn't, Mom.
Truly did nothing but be here. Yes.
And then at the end of oh my God, if my kid went up to someone and was like, "I'm nothing like my mother," and then starts stabbing Ma. Like, imagine watching your kid do that, be like, "I'm nothing like her, I'm gonna help you," and fucking stabbing Ma. She did the right thing, don't get me wrong, but it was just like, what a wild scenario to be in.
Right. It's like, what's that conversation after?
Yeah. And then Ma
we
just
should
goes upstairs.
go to family therapy.
Yeah, I think everyone here is family therapy. Poor Andy losing both of his parents.
Oh my God, yeah. And he doesn't even realize it.
No.
I mean, at the end of the movie, yeah.
Totally. And then Maggie's like, "Hey, by the way, like, your dad was upstairs."
Yikes.
And then Ma just goes upstairs. She's like, "I'm just gonna die with Ben in this house." I did like that she still had white paint on her hands, like the Joker. But yeah, I truly did not expect this movie to be as insane, as fun, as weirdly trying to like justify her actions through like horrendous sexual assault. Like this movie is all over the fucking place, and that's why I like it, because it is all over the place in so many. It's doing it's a hat and a hat and a hat and a hat, and that's why I like it. Also, I didn't even say it. Octavia Spencer is just like both phoning it in and not at the same time. Can you do that? Can you phone something in and just be like overacting the whole fucking thing, and like truly like a masterclass and like, I don't give a fuck, give me that paycheck, this is fun as hell? Like, no, it's great.
I think that's literally what it felt like. It felt like she was like, give me this paycheck and I'm just gonna go balls to the wall and no one is gonna clock me on it, because also like I think it's also at the point too in her career where people know that she is a serious actor, that it, like she could just
she already won an Oscar, it doesn't fucking matter.
Exactly. She can just be like, I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. It doesn't matter. Y'all know my capabilities.
I think she was also nominated she already had her 3 nominations for. She won for The Help. She was
Yeah.
nominated for The Shape of Water and Hidden Figures. I think it was good there. Oh, I have a question for the two of you. Put yourself in these kids' position. You're in this
Yikes.
small town. Ma is buying you liquor. You can hang out in her basement. Things are kind of weird. At what point do you admit the wrongdoings to your parents to rat her out? Because Maggie does it pretty late in this movie, and I recognize that like this is a movie and these points in the plot need to happen at certain points in time. But in real life, at what point are you like ratting not just stop going, but ratting her out? Also, I loved all the texts, the individual texts with the crazy videos. Fantastic.
Oh my God, that was insane. And then especially the video where she's like, block Ma, but somehow Ma got that video of...
Oh, that was weird.
Yes.
The fact that Ma got the video of like, don't go to Ma. I was like, to me, she must be following them on Instagram and like and she put that on her stories or some shit like that.
Oh, okay. Maybe. Because I'm like,
That's how much I thought about it. I was like, okay, how did Ma get this video?
How can we
Very
justify
weird.
it?
Mm-hmm. But I'm interested in your answer to that question, both of you.
Honestly, the gun, because I don't care if it's fake or not, that whole scene, I'd be like, look, I just need to tell you that this lady, there's something going on with her, and this is what we did, and this is what happened. Like, safety first. Mm-mm.
I honestly don't know, because like when I was growing up, I had a lot of friends that did a lot of things that I didn't always participate in, but just kind of like went along with.
Sure.
And I don't know if I would have just like compartmentalized all of it. Probably not to a certain point, because that's like wild. I don't know. I probably would have been like, we went to a weird... No, I don't think I would have told them, actually. Thinking about all the weird places they actually did hang out, I probably wouldn't have said anything. Probably the gun. That probably would have done it for me, to be like, that would have been my like, I need you to get me out of this situation.
Exactly.
Like I can't casually say no to my friends. So I'm telling you so that you can intervene and like help remove me from the situation I don't want to be in anymore.
Sure.
Especially after getting all those text messages too. Like, no, this lady, you're actually stalking me. Like, absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Brian? Do you know?
The gun situation, I'd be out of there. I wouldn't rat her out per se, but I would be out of there after the gun situation. Somewhere between the texts and her showing up at the house is when I would probably rat her out, because then it's becoming a little bit more serious and nerve-wracking.
And she showed up at the school too, and it's just like,
yeah, all fucked up stuff.
No thanks. Ugh. Okay. Do you have any more likes and gripes, Ryan?
No, I think that I talked too long.
No, it's all good. Jamie, please go.
I think that, so what I'm thinking is that there's like a curve of watchability for this, because I feel like I have had the experience that you're having the last time that I saw this, but now I'm just kind of like, I already know it's weird. It's like, it's almost too weird, but not even in like obviously there's other fun, like silly, weird movies that we like, that we know are not necessarily like they have like cult followings,
sure.
Like this does. So I feel like The Visit is more of that, where I can rewatch that and I'm like, this is so silly, and like the tone is so silly, but like I'm into it. And like this, I feel like has gone the other end, where now I'm just like, I'm over it.
Sure.
Because it's just so far, it's like so far-fetched that I really can't get with it, even though like it's all just, I still think I mentioned the backstory thing about why this movie got made, because I just think that's so fucking silly that like people can just be like, I just want to make something fucked up, and then like have a call with Jason Blum and like get this random script and just like make an absurd movie.
Spend all this money.
Yeah. And you're just like, you casually bring all of your deeply famous friends to be in this movie. It's so weird. But but whatever. I
That's
I
the
don't
charm
know.
of Ma.
Yeah, I guess. But there's just so much that is like deeply unbelievable, and I don't know if my perspective is skewed because I'm no longer a teenager. Again, I was reflecting on like what are all the weird, silly, fucked up things. Like I've definitely with my friend got into a car of somebody who was like significantly older with us, who was like speeding all over town. I've been to my friends' houses when they were all like underage drinking and smoking.
So
We
Jamie
used to
was a
hang
part
out
of the
a
cool
lot,
kids.
but I wasn't. I wasn't. This was just like my immediate group of friends. I remember walking around on the train tracks while they were all like they made like they turned an apple into like a bowl and like smoked out of it. Just like random stuff. We
It
used to
sounds like
hang
you
out
grew up
like
in
in a
Oklahoma.
parking lot.
You're like, we were on the train tracks and smoking a bowl out of an apple.
These are like the New
That's-
Jersey suburbs.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But I do think that there's a lot of overlap between Oklahoma and the New Jersey suburbs because I do think
Fair.
that there's a lot of, it's like the latchkey kid vibe where you just have a lot of time to yourself as a younger person. And you're just trying to figure out things to do. And you also feel much older than you actually are. And so you're just like engaging in things that are like probably, not the most appropriate for you to be doing. So that's the lens that I'm trying to like view the choices that they're making in this movie. But I still think that like it still doesn't totally track because again, like what's the appeal of a bunch of young people hanging out with someone who's so much significantly older, even if she does buy them alcohol. But like once she's like, oh, do you want to come to my house to like drink? Like that is just like such a weird line to cross.
True. Honestly, I probably would have never gone to the house.
Yeah,
that's a really good point. I don't think I've ever would have gotten into this situation, even though Ma was putting this situation on them because we oh my god, I'm in the movie. They the parents of these kids were the wrongdoers and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a really good point, Jamie.
I just have a really hard time conceptualizing like these are kids that like again get drunk at like ruins outside, like that's which like sure that makes a lot of sense to me, to teenager me, but like I just feel, and like a stranger, like not even like this isn't even like a parent of one of the kids who's like drink in my basement because at least I know where you are. It's like, who the fuck are you? So that really makes it difficult for me to like buy into what's happening in this movie. Sure. Then also, even before she invites them to her house, when they first ask her to buy the alcohol, she very clearly is already being really inappropriate with Andy, like just at first glance. Like she like clocks him, she sees the van, and she's like, oh, that's Ben's son. And also like, I forget exactly what she says, but she does say something weird because they all comment like, oh, that lady's into you.
Yeah,
and like again, another moment where it's like, that's fucking weird. If this like older woman started like, kind of hitting on one of my friends, I would be like, that's like terrifying.
Exactly.
So yeah, again, like this is, it is super weird. And again, with the understanding that like, yes, some of my friends did hang out with like older people. Like when we were 14 hanging out with like 19, 20-year-olds, which looking back is also like, that's weird. Why were those 19 and 20-year-olds hanging out with kids?
With 14, yeah.
Yes. And so like, that's how I think about this movie. Cause I'm like, okay, when I was like 14, I was like, I also thought it was weird that 20-year-olds wanted to hang out with 14-year-olds, but I was with my friends. But like, I don't know how old she is, but like, if like a 40 to 50-year-old person was like, hang out in my house and I didn't know who they were, I'd be like, fuck no. There's no world, like keep the booze, I guess. I don't care. Yeah. Like no world that would be okay. So like that really makes this movie very difficult to like, let go of to continue with everything else. But yeah then fair. There's these very abrupt tonal shifts that again, I mentioned The Visit because like that does feel like a lot of really significant tone shifts, but like in this, I don't think that they move as smoothly, if you will, if that's even like the appropriate way to describe it. because yeah, like the gun scene is so bizarre. It's so weird. The energy that he brings into the situation, and she like ups the ante by like 1,000,000. It's like just
By a
so
million.
strange. And then everyone is just so fine with it.
Yeah.
So that's bizarre. And then yeah, like everything about the social media stuff, like you said. But like I think my ultimate like problem with this movie is there's a lot of missing pieces in terms of what her motives are, even though they like give you this whole trauma plot of like what she experienced as a child.
Yes.
Quite frankly, she's not organized in her there's no plan. There's literally no plan. Like they make you think that like, oh, like they zoom in on the front of the van and she gets all squinty eyed and she's like, like I'm cooking something, but like she's not cooking anything. There's nothing happening up here as far as I'm concerned with like a plot of this movie.
Yeah.
So like it's all just impulse, but like these impulses don't even make sense. So it's really hard to like watch somebody just like act so erratically constantly. Yes. And again, like that's part of it. And what I will say one thing that I think is worthy of praise is that Octavia Spencer does a good job at being wildly erratic. Like she truly is all over the place. But like it's just really hard to watch a character like making all of these decisions that like that don't make any sense, and that like yes, there is the connection. Like there were so many pieces of ideas that then just were executed horribly. So yeah, it's like, okay, are you like plotting this like ultimate revenge on the kids of the adults that like wronged you and hurt you? But also it doesn't really sound like you have like a plan with any of them. Like this ultimate revenge plot, I don't really think exists.
Right.
And you're really only acting out because they all rejected you, and you're feeling that rejection all over again. And now it's like the iteration of the people that already rejected you previously. So that's why like everything really escalates at the end of this movie. But I don't think that was never her plan all along. I think her plan was just, I guess, like something about her trauma, like brought her back to, you know, being a young person again and like reliving some of that, but also gave her an opportunity to relive like being a young, fun person again. And then when they rejected her, she was like, no, fuck them. I'm going to kill them all, I guess. Like that's the only the way that I can try to justify whatever the plot of this movie is.
Yeah. And I agree, because that was one thing that I was going to say too, that this go around was like, but wait, what? Because truly, like,
Please go into yours, because I'm that's all I really had to say. But yeah, I'm curious about what your thoughts are.
Well, yeah, no, because she wasn't thinking about her old friends or like their kids or anything the whole time she's been in this town, right? But then one day she magically finds the son of the guy that did her wrong, you know?
Yeah.
And,
and they've all been there.
And they've all been, it's a small town.
Yes.
They've all been there. And so that was my thing of like, but wait.
Why now?
Why now? Why in this moment do you feel like, oh, I'm going to plot? And then Jamie, like exactly like you said, it's like, but you also want to be friends with them because you're reliving like wanting to be popular. But like, what was the motive in the first place? Like, what had your wheels turning? Was it, I want revenge, or I'm just want to be their friend? Like, where are you headed? Because that was just kind of all over the place. But like you said, she had absolutely no plan, and she's just like, it's just all that unprocessed trauma. And it's really crazy of like, do you want to get back at the parents, or do you want to be their friend again? Like, what's really happening? So no, I agree with that whole entire thing.
Do we need a Ma prequel that takes place after high school but before these kids?
Absolutely
and talks about
not.
Like whoever her Jeannie's father is, like a Pearl, but a Ma, you know?
No. No. I don't think so.
I also was curious of who the dad was, of who Jeannie's dad was. I'm like, what happened with
And
that?
the Munchausen's by proxy. Like, I'm interested in all of that.
Yeah.
No, I would be more interested in a Ma reboot.
Or a spin-off called Pa.
Oh my god! And then we find out where the father was and what's
Yeah,
happening.
and then another spin-off called Bra.
Oh my god!
All right, someone mute him before he keeps going.
No.
But the real winner of this whole movie is Octavia's wigs. Cause girl,
Yes.
Who did this to her?
Who
did this?
said this was okay?
Who is responsible? I'm looking up a name right now.
Please.
Who? I need to know.
What in the mullet but bowl cut was this, and why?
She's a small town Ohio woman.
My god. But also, I'm still down for like Octavia Spencer being in a horror movie, just like a better one. Like,
Sure.
I need that to happen for her. Everything you guys said, like I agree with, but that's what makes the movie kooky, and I just kind of laugh because no one is making any smart decisions from start to finish.
Nope.
And none of it makes sense. And talk about the human
Not
behavior
one.
of it all. Like, why are we continuing on going to this lady's house, hanging out with this lady in the first place, not telling any other adults like what is going on? This is crazy. Also, the whole ending scene where everything is catching on fire in the basement and they're trying to get out like the cellar doors, and so they finally like escape, but then Ma, after being stabbed, just walks gracefully
Waltzes.
up the fiery stairs.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, well, if she could get up the stairs to get out, how come y'all didn't get up the stairs to get out of the house? Crazy. And
Crazy.
yes, then that whole thing of just her being burned up in the house, it's like, girl, if you can walk and you're okay after being stabbed, like, and poor little Andy had to be like dragged out after he got stabbed once.
Poor Andy.
Oh, it was insane. But you got to end the movie in a kooky way because it's 90 minutes of kooky. But just a fun thing about generational trauma, I guess, and just like how I don't know how unprocessed trauma can just kind of go forth and in generations. Because I mean, like Jeannie, girl, you're gonna need all the help in the world to get over like all that you have experienced. And also it's just so crazy how much Sue Ann thought about those kids and then was just like, fuck you, daughter, like I don't care about you at all. And it's like,
Yeah.
what?
I was expecting more information about her relationship with her daughter, especially because the daughter becomes so important in that third act.
Right.
I thought we were gonna just a little bit more dialogue about like what the situation was there, but we don't.
It's like she's just there to be a person that saves and that's that. But it was really like, yeah, what is that mental process for you to be like caring about these other kids and letting them party and do whatever, and you have a whole teenage daughter and just abandon her? It's weird.
Yeah. I also wonder about the choice of the daughter being in school, like the daughter being in school and then not being in school. And I get that they go in and out, but like it just feels weird that she would have even been in school at all. She only was in school to like introduce that twist at the end. Like I don't know. They're but again, that's the charm of this wild and crazy movie.
That's Ma.
That's Ma.
That's Ma.
I thought it was so crazy, that whole scene with the dad and Ma in the bar, and then with the tracker, and then he's like, just, I mean, of course he's being defensive of his son, but then he like actually turns into a dick and like is right back in high school and just being like, yeah, you wanted me and I didn't want to have anything to do with you. You're still a loser. And it's like, sir, no one is an adult in this movie. No, except maybe Stu. Stu's the only actual adult.
Stu comes out and helps her. She's the mom's only friend. He is there. Poor Stu just hired this woman to just get roped into the shenanigans of Ma and her daughter. Like what? Stu's gonna have the most trauma and also the best story, because Stu could see it from a third perspective. Like, oh my god, you'll never guess what happened to me on this random Saturday morning.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, everything y'all said, like I agree with. It's just very kooky, and this was only my second watch, so like, am I racing to watch it again? No. But it was fun to revisit because I want to say that I did watch this movie in theaters when it first came out.
Oh, you got Mod in
Really?
theaters.
I got Mod in theaters and was like, what the
Wow.
hell did I just watch? This was awful. But then knowing that it was crazy, this go around, I could enjoy it for
Sure.
the camp that it was not trying to be, but is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It feels like this movie. Well, I don't know the rewatchability to be like, could this movie be like a cult classic of it's just so crazy that people love it? But maybe not, because it's just so wildly unbelievable throughout. So maybe not. But I still, for right now, in January of 2025, I will say that this is still a treat to me, because it was a treat to watch again.
Love it.
But that's it. Anybody have any other things before we move on?
Just Ma.
You got Mod. It's
You
all
got
good.
Mod.
Fantastic. Well, let's move on to our next segment. Brains.
Tasty.
Okay, so first off, Jamie, you've already like alluded to it, but I would love to Billy or Stu Suan.
Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative. It's a scream, baby.
Billy or Stu.
Yep. I even said this to Brian at like towards the end of the movie. I was like, I can't even hold this in. Like, she's such a Stu.
Yeah.
It's like not even like I can't. But it was like even worse than Stu. She's her own category. We should do Billy, Stu, or Ma now.
Are you Billy, Stu, or Ma?
She just
or Ma.
Yeah. But yeah, it was like pure just like impulse. There was no plotting at all whatsoever. Just very bizarre.
Milk did that body good.
Telling me I need a man, I'll shut you up. Like, what? Why have you been harboring so much resentment over this dumb kid's comment for like weeks?
Waving through a basement.
And then when she ran over the thing, and then Maggie's mom was like confronting her in the store, and she was like mumbling to herself and being like, and I got rid of Mercedes for you. It's like,
yes,
girl,
we didn't even
the dad showing up at the house, and the dad would have gotten a phone call that Mercedes has been killed, and he doesn't even bring it up.
Nope.
No,
not at all.
There's so many things happen in this movie that just have no like organic, natural human payoff, if that makes sense.
And if there's a tracker on your son's thing, he's been over there a million times, and you're just now figuring out that he was at this lady's house. Like, what?
Wild.
I can't.
Absolutely wild.
It's wild. Anyway, we're off this segment. So, okay.
Mama.
My God.
I can't stop.
It's
crazy.
Goodness. Okay.
It's so funny. I can't.
It's very funny. Okay, my next question to you is, I would love for you to talk about, and you kind of also alluded to this too, but the phenomenon of being triggered as an adult by a past trauma from your youth, and then immediately reacting as or reverting back to that youthful mindset in response, which is all that Ma is doing in this movie. She gets triggered and she immediately reverts back to like that girl in high school, and then is like reacting as such. So why is that, and how can we change our thinking and our reactions in that moment to be more beneficial to us?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard because like, you know, triggers are triggers because we don't always know that they're going to like set us off until we like learn about them and recognize them so that we can be better prepared for the future. So I think that like for Ma, recognizing that she experienced a trauma and like actually going to therapy, hopefully she did, TBD. But like if not, like it's also hard because like, again, part of our criticism is like, you've lived in this town with these people your whole life, and then like all of a sudden like something about them sets you off. Like you don't always know when it is going to set you off, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I think like, you know, it's also, I think, for a while protecting like certain spaces. Like there might be certain spaces that like trigger you more, and so you might not go to certain locations or like around certain people. But I just have a hard time. I think like we said, I have a hard time believing that she'd never seen these people over the entire course of her life post high school. But maybe she truly did avoid them. And so like, if she had not seen anything to do with them this whole time and then suddenly came into contact with them, like it really could be like so deeply disturbing to her and like bring all of that back up. So I think like, you know, going to therapy, identifying your triggers so that you're able to like better kind of catch and respond accordingly. But it might still be really hard to like respond in an effective way, because a lot of time like those the triggers that we experience from trauma are not like easily controllable things. And like those reactions might be like really intense. It's like the hypervigilance that is experienced after a trauma. So it could just like really set you off in a really intense, big way unexpectedly, and you're like kind of always on guard for something. So maybe she'd let her guard down over a long period of time until like this really just like totally threw her for a loop.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that, especially like you said, because you don't know how you're going to react to what. So for her to just kind of like see that was her reaction to it. Yeah, I get that. Fantastic. And my last question is, why is it that sometimes our need for community causes us to not let great people to be in our circle? Like, is the fear of being alone really that strong of an internal mindset? And I'm just thinking, like, I know Maggie's friends aren't awful, but it was so funny when Ma was in Maggie's house and they're all like talking about the dog, and the mom is like, yeah, I feel like Maggie's got some great friends and like they're good kids. Meanwhile, they're all like out partying and doing like whatever, you know. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I like, I'm just thinking a lot about like the young person, like FOMO, and like just like the pressures that kids feel. I don't even know if this necessarily answers the question. But like, I just feel like there are a lot of these like pressures that are so important. Like they feel so important at different like
moment.
phases of your life. Yeah. And like that supersedes other critical thinking skills that also might not exist, especially for young people. Like that's like the last part of our brain, like our prefrontal cortex, where it houses like our critical thinking skills, is like the last part of our brain to develop around the age of like 25. So like there's like quite a long time where we're also considered like adults and like just not making good decisions. Yeah, and we're not. Full stop. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers the question.
It does. Yes, because it's in the context of adolescence. Yeah. But I also just want to point out how crazy it is that the studies show that it's at 25 that we really develop that, but then like at 21 we can be drinking and doing whatever, or like paying bills and like in college and like paying rent and doing all this stuff, and it's like our brains aren't even like fully developed yet. This is really wild.
Yeah. No, it is very weird. But yeah, it's like I think just the pressures and like the motivations of young people like is competing with a lot of different things. You're also developing your own identity, and I think like feeling challenged a lot by like what's right versus what's wrong. Like there's like so many things all going on simultaneously that like I get it on like I understand all of those things, and then in this movie I just don't see them applied effectively.
Right. For sure. Absolutely. Great. Well, that's all I have for that section. Should we Rotten Tomatin this?
Let's do some Rotten Tomatin.
Let's do it.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Okay. What do you think this movie has on Rotten Tomatoes? Jimmy, why don't you tell us your Rotten Tomatoes thoughts?
Like 37.
And Nikisha?
I was going to say 47.
55.
Oh, wow.
What? When? Where? Why?
And
Answer me.
And the popcorn meter is 64%, so that's the audience
Because people
score.
get the camp.
It's the cult. It's the cult following of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Octavia Spencer's performance overpowers many of Ma's flaws, but uneven pacing and a labored story keep this thriller from fully realizing its unhinged potential.
Okay.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah. I think you can say Octavia Spencer's performance can save a lot of this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Sure.
What do you think this movie has on Letterboxd? As a reminder, Letterboxd is from 0 to 5 with decimal points. So Nikisha, why don't you start? What do you think it is on Letterboxd?
2.6.
And Jamie?
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar, like 2.8.
It's a 2.5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And here are a few of our favorite. These are the most popular reviews. Okay.
These are a few of our favorite reviews.
Yes.
Number 3. This is the only movie where you're ever going to see Octavia Spencer swerve her pickup truck to run over a jogger as September by Earth, Wind, and Fire fades in. I think it deserves some credit for moments like this.
Absolutely.
Fair.
Agreed. Also, her doing the robot, that whole dance.
Oh
sequence
my
scene.
god. I forgot.
Oh, and this next one, number 2, is, damn, Ma, don't you have a job? Help.
Yes.
Oh
She
my
said, yeah, a job or a
God.
man. Ooh.
And the number 1...
Oh
God.
I didn't
god.
read these before. The number 1 most popular review of Ma on Letterboxd is, if I am killed by Ma, do not prosecute her because she caught me slipping. That is on me.
What?
What?
Why?
I don't know.
Oh god.
Oh, goodness gracious. Not caught me slipping. Fantastic.
All right. Should we do the 4 S's?
Yes.
Yes, sis.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The Talking Horrors 4 S's.
4 S's are skulls, scares, shakes, and suggestions. Skulls is how well this movie handles mental health and human behavior. Scares, how scary is it? And shakes, how much is this going to stay with you? Jamie, let's start with your numbers.
Sure. For skulls,
Uh-oh.
they really didn't want to listen to my score. First, they're a Ma lover. They're driving away. For skulls, I gave it a 3 because I don't really think there's that much brain activity in this film overall. For scares, I gave it a 1 because I don't think this movie is scary. But I do think that Ma is just a disturbed individual. I think it's like 1. That's all I got. For shakes, I'm giving this a 5 because I do recognize how this movie has like hit a cult classic degree. But it's still it's not like my go-to. I wouldn't like recommend this as like top cult classics but at all.
No.
For sure.
So it's definitely not as high with regard to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nikisha.
Yeah, mine are like almost exactly the same. 3 for skulls as well. I gave it a 2 for scares because there was one jump scare that got me and I was like, what the fuck? Oh, okay. I forgot. She jumps out of somewhere or something and I was scared. But then I also gave this a 5 for shakes.
Cool.
Yeah.
I gave this a 2 for skulls. I gave this a 1 for scares, and I gave this a 6 for shakes because it's Ma. I cannot. I don't want to get mod.
Yes.
I can't not.
And my 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 what's it called is
Suggestion.
my suggestion. Wow, I couldn't think of the word, so maybe I shouldn't give
Beep, boop, boop.
suggestions. My suggestion is I went if you want this movie but better, Misery.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nikisha.
I thought if you want campy Megan, like campy but better Megan, but then I also thought about
what movie?
Mithrigan.
Thank you.
Yes. But I also thought about movies where the kids have to pay for their parents' mistakes. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Jamie?
My suggestions are kind of weird. I went off of purely vibes. Another Blumhouse movie that I feel like has similar vibes that is just like a totally fine movie is Truth or Dare.
Yes.
Another movie where there's like some, quite frankly, like huge escalations of like very weird behaviors by the I don't know, the bad guy, if you will. Don't Breathe.
Oh yeah.
As well as Orphan. Orphan's bringing a lot of really unhinged energy.
Great.
Love that Orphan.
Great.
Okay.
My hope is
I was
that
like,
if we ever
these are like weird, but that was
makes
just
sense.
the
No,
feelings.
I'm into that. I think the gave same vibes. Honestly, if we got a Ma prequel, I hope it's something like Orphan First Kill.
Which was also great. Yes. Love it. Okay. Well, that wraps up our episode of Ma. Don't get mod. You can follow us on some socials, Instagram, maybe TikTok if it's still there, and Blue Sky at Talk Horror Pod. And producer Brian, where can they listen to us?
You can listen to us wherever you get podcasts. YouTube, hi YouTube. You can listen to us on Apple and Spotify. Rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And thank you. What quote do you want to end with?
Oh my God, Bri.
You can beat it, Ma. My granddad did, and he's a fucking pussy.
Oh, just classic. My God.
Shut it all down. I think you mean God.
Ma God, yes. Absolutely.
Oh, wait,
Yes.
she said she had prostate cancer?
Yes.
Yes.
Women don't have prostates.
Oh,
No.
no. Pancreatic.
Pancreatic. Right.
Oh my God. I was like, what?
I was like, what? Sorry.
That would have been even more hilarious.
Yeah. Also, you know what's real? Also, this movie is very hard to search for because every single movie has an M.A. in it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like going through all of it. It's like, no, give me Octavia Spencer. Yes.
Yeah. I ended up looking up Octavia Spencer and just going to her filmography, and that's how I watched it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Good times. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Again, don't get mod. And we'll
Don't
see
get
you.
mod.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.